We're very proud to call the first fully integrated fuel cycle in the world.
Hello, everyone. This is another episode of the Fusion Forward podcast. I have a fantastic guest here today, Jan Castillo, who is the co-CEO of Fusion Fuel Cycles. He's going to tell us all about the interesting and amazing world of tritium. So thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, Alex. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. So Tritium. So Tritium is a very specialized area, and it has applications in a few different areas, and we're going to be talking about some of those, and also about its role in fusion. But how did you fall into this world?
Yes, definitely. It's been quite a journey. I started at CNL about 18 years ago. I was hired as a researcher in what it was a branch dedicated to hydrogen isotopes. And hydrogen isotopes to me was a foreign word. Now, very quickly I learned that it was hydrogen, then the heavier cousin of hydrogen, which is deuterium, and the heavier and radioactive cousin of hydrogen, which is tritium, and learned that separating these isotopes is almost as hard as separating uranium isotopes. So I kind of fell in love a little bit to understand that this world is a bit more like the Ferrari of process engineering. Yeah. So it was just a really nice experience when I started, and I just continued there for all these years.
Amazing. So you started off in like the science and engineering world at Canadian Nuclear Laboratories. So you're looking at the challenges around separating these things isotopically, chemically. So how did you get more involved in your career, like bridging from just the science and engineering to more to leadership and technology development?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been definitely an interesting journey. I think everybody that starts at Canadian Nuclear Laboratories has an opportunity to learn from a lot of years of experience from previous experts. So you start with a very good foundation, excellent knowledge, and very credible research. So the first few years is about sort of learning the ropes, understanding the technology, improving the technology, and try to always get it to the market and have a view of industry at all times. Then from there on, it was just a matter of opportunities. The company was going through a transition in which tritium projects were important for the removal of tritium from spent fuel pools. And then so I got involved into a capital project. So there was an opportunity to see how technology can be connected with $40 to $50 million capital project. So that was an interesting connection. Then from there onwards, the company was very fortunate to receive funding from the government of Canada for the revitalization of the infrastructure. So all of a sudden go from a capital project to a second capital project. We have an opportunity to renovate our tritium facility. So another $40 to $50 million, and same thing with new hydrogen laboratories, same amount. So total, you will look at the portfolio, it's close to $150 million of capital projects. So now you get the technology, you get how the technology gets put into a project. Then I got involved into how to commercialize technology and start thinking of it as a business. So I have an opportunity to work now in medical radioisotopes, especially for something that is very dear to your heart when you start thinking about life-saving isotopes and how you can make those. So in this case was actinium production from irradiation and also from decay of certain substances. So there was a little bit more how to take technology all the way from a lab scale to a market and present it as an investable proposition that underpins a company. And then how to start raising the capital and so on and so forth. So that was a great experience, which led to my position that I had at CNL as head of the Hydrogen and Tritium Technologies Directorate, which my job from day one was run it as a small startup with technology portfolio and how can you connect the pieces. And it was interesting to see how the different value propositions of the directorate grew from clean fuel production, hydrogen production, from expertise that we have in electrolyzers and some partners in the West and in Central Ontario. Understanding also hydrogen safety that the nuclear industry has had for many years, heavy water production, and then tritium in fusion. And I think we always thought that tritium fusion would be the last one, and turns out that it was, right here, and the opportunity was there. So out of all that technology portfolio, we grew from 60 to about 120 very quickly. And then we found excellent partners in all those areas. And then that was the last launch, going from, okay, now we have technology partners, let's go and put everything together and jump with Kyoto Fusionary, who's been an excellent experience, an excellent partner for us in developing what we're very proud to call the first fully integrated fuel cycle in the world, called Unity 2. And we're doing this fully integrated. I'm very happy to doing this with my co-CEO, Yuhei Nozoe from Japan.
Yeah.
So that's the journey in a nutshell.
Yeah, amazing. So I think it's incredible that you started with this technical foundation and then continually to build on and to bring some more commercial acumen with regards to deploying actual capital projects and working on some emerging technologies as well. I think you gave some really fantastic teasers to some things we're going to talk about with regards to a little bit about why Canada and Tritium, and also talking about your current endeavor with regards to fusion fuel cycles and some of the impact that it's looking to make. So before we jump into that, let's talk about what is tritium. You mentioned that it's an isotope of hydrogen. Talk a little bit about some of the characteristics of tritium.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, they're just. I guess let's start from the beginning. So first of all, Canada has an indigenous design of reactor for fission applications called CANDU. The reactor operates with a very unique substance called heavy water. And heavy water is the moderator and as well as the cooling. It requires in the order of 500 to 600 tons of heavy water, and give or take. So the trade-off is that as a result of having this unique substance, it can run with natural uranium. So that is the main factor. So what happens is that you have all this water, and the water, because it's exposed to neutrons, it gets converted, a very small portion of it, into treated water. And the simple analogy that I make is just it gets a spice up. Yeah. Really, it's like kind of a little bit of fissiness to the water. And of course, the next step is to remove this spice. Yeah. And then you do that through very advanced technology to get the tritium out of the water and eventually into what is called immobilized tritium containers, which are the size of like a size of a golf bag in a way, and they keep the tritium connected to the metal, and it's stored in Ontario Power Generation. So the next step is how the tritium gets out into different applications. So for example, exit signs or certain watches are applications that require this tritium because it's luminescence. So a very small portion of that inventory gets extracted, goes through a distributor, which is CNL, and it gets sold overseas. And obviously the connection here is that for fusion, tritium is the fuel. Yeah. And that all of a sudden you have this super incredible opportunity of converting a byproduct into your primary fuel for the next generation of clean energy.
Yeah, amazing. So I love how you call it a spicy isotope, spicy thing that comes out in this heavy water. So just to explain that value chain, you've got a fission nuclear reactor that has a unique design that's specific to Canada and in a few other places in the world, which when neutrons hit that, it becomes it produces tritium. So and understanding that it has a valuable product that can be used for various different applications. What is the actual like feature or characteristic of tritium that makes it special? What gives it its spice?
What gives it spice? Oh, yeah. Fundamentally, I guess two properties. One is that it has a decay period of about 12 years,
Yeah.
and is very easily shieldable.
Yeah.
So, which means that a small piece of paper, it keeps the substance without any harm to humans, and that's how it can be in watches. So that's one. And the second part is that the combination of deuterium and tritium in fusion is the simplest, in very simplified way, of the fusion reactions that can be done on Earth.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sun does that every day, but it has a massive gravitational force.
Yeah.
But on Earth, really, the deuterium-tritium fusion reaction, in principle, is the simplest, and that is the value proposition of that substance.
Yeah, understood. So yeah, and some I know from like a molecular level, atomic level. Sorry, there's it's got a few extra neutrons, which allows it to have some of those characteristics that you spoke about with fusion. So when we're thinking, and obviously from a lot of your experience that you've had over the years working with tritium at CNL, what are some of the challenges of working with tritium?
Right. Yeah, good question. Fundamentally, tritium is hydrogen.
Yeah.
In very simple terms. So as a gas, it has the same characteristics as hydrogen. You need to make sure that it's contained under pressure in a bottle, that kind of thing, is flammable. In water, it doesn't behave chemically any different than water. So whatever chemical reactions you can do with water, you can do it with triturated water. So simple. I guess the difference is because if tritium were to escape, it can be absorbed by humans and then is dangerous to humans. So the obvious barrier is to handle tritium through a secondary container, where there is pipe in pipe, glove boxes, fume hoods, and to the extent possible, avoid to come in contact with oxygen to form triturated water, which has high rheological characteristics. But I think the easiest way to kind of think of this is that over the years, if there is any concern for tritium ingestion, really the solution is drink beer. That's because it accelerates your biological, let's say, removal of any liquid.
Yep.
And so drink beer if you are in contact with tritium.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that sounds, the doctor's ordered. We heard it here. Dr. Castillo, beer needs to be consumed to work through tritium. But and is that to do with like the ethanol in it, or is it just
No, just that beer is diuretic, so it just helps get the tritium out of your system a bit faster.
Okay, amazing. So wine will also do the job.
Yes. Okay. Wine will also do the job.
Amazing. So we spoke a little bit about how some of the characteristics of tritium are really good for fusion. Tell me a little bit more about how it's being used in fusion.
Right. Tell you that I have to maybe explain a little bit of how the thing works. So fusion fundamentally is a fusing two very light atoms, in this particular case, hydrogen isotopes. So from that fusion event, there is a lot of energy that is being produced as a result of energetic neutrons. So what happens afterwards is that you have to extract all that energy, and eventually that energy converts into power, no different than we do that with fission or any other power plant. The difference here is that without maintaining that fuel, the fusion event cannot just fizzles out in a way. It cannot be self-sustained.
Yeah.
So the way to do this is to have what is called a breather. My analogy is to think of an apple, that you have the core of the apple being the fusion event and the skin of the apple where you have your breather. So the breather really acts as a tritium multiplier. So it gets in contact with this neutron, produces more tritium, and sort of maintains this self-sustaining of the reaction. So now you converted your problem of not just creating energy, but also self-sustaining your energy, but you constantly need to recycle your fuel. And the fuel recycle is where the fusion fuel cycle comes into the picture, because you have a mixture of hydrogen isotopes, a lot of helium, a lot of heat, and really the job is relatively simple in the scheme of things. Is take all the stream, clean it, recycle, and reintroduce it back into the reactor. And it sounds easy, but it's harder than it looks. But the concept is relatively straightforward. It's your ability to keep your engine of the car running if you cannot take the unreacted mixture and put it back into the engine. That's really the intent here.
Understood. So to kind of start from the core of the apple and going out, you have your deuterium and tritium that's fusing. They produce a neutron that's hitting something in this breeding wall. And then the job is, how can I get out that new tritium that I've created and put it back into the middle?
Exactly.
So
Safely,
yep. And
efficiently.
Okay, it sounds like it's there's quite a few dimensions to consider in a process like that. So when pulling this thing out, is it a gas? Are you pulling out a liquid? Like what exactly does that process look like?
Yeah, definitely. All of those reactions, because you are thinking about of really high temperatures, they are in gaseous form, and in many cases, in the center of the reactor is a sort of a plasma. So everything is with gas. Now, after that, if we keep this analogy of the breeder could be a liquid or it could be a solid. And then tritium now is spicing up either solid mixtures or liquid mixtures. So now your job is to get that little gas, the fissiness out of the liquid mixture, and put it back in the gas. The next step, as we talk about, is returning back the gas into the fusion machine. But in doing so, some of the conversions will have to take tritium back into the liquid form. And you want to make sure that the treated water is now collected and returned back into the reactor. So to answer your question, it's really tritium in gas, tritium in liquid, tritium as in small quantities in either solid or molten salt, and then making sure that never really kind of gets into the environment in a way that you don't want it to be.
So a lot of that experience has already been developed within the Canadian fission community and at CNL that you spoke about. Why can't we just plug and play what's already exists into the fusion world?
Right. Again, an excellent question. Yes, a lot of experience has been developed in the CANDU ecosystem for many, many years, actually decades, because of the operation of the CANDU reactors that have large quantities of tritium in gaseous and in liquid form. However, that expertise wasn't really quite connected to the fusion ecosystem. But fortunately, through our collaborators in Japan, they were coming from a slightly different angle. They have a lot of expertise on the components and systems that are closer to the fusion machine. So it's almost the best of both worlds. You're marrying the left side with the right side. So the Canadian tritium expertise and knowledge with the plant technology that has been developed in Japan, put it together and create this very synergistic venture. So I guess to answer your question, the technology, yes, was available, but not quite in the same application. So now we are taking what we have and moving into the right field.
So I think it's a nice point for us to talk about the collaboration that you have with Canada and Japan. Can you talk about the genesis of this partnership and what it involves?
Right. I guess without being cheeky, it comes down to sushi and maple syrup. It started with some conversations with sushi and some conversations with At the time, the chief technology officer of Kyoto Fusioneering, Dr. Konishi-san. The genesis was about how do we work together to enable fusion in a large scale. The business model that Kyoto Fusioneering had was more of a picks and axes strategy, technology agnostic, supporting an ecosystem. And it sounded very synergistic what CNL was going to do at the time, which was, again, take advantage of that Tritium expertise that is available. And it really supports about 2/3 of the whole ecosystem. So business to business model were aligned, technology to technology were complementary. And I think cultural to cultural, it was a very good fit. It's interesting to see how like-minded nations that have, clean energy goals, energy security, and operate without being weapon states can be connected for the benefit of many of the activities that are happening around the world. So that was the genesis of that. Then after that, it became a matter of trust and connectivity, and start seeking opportunities together. So while it started with a traditional non-disclosure agreement, MOU, converting strategic partnerships, and eventually led into co-investment for the formation of a company, Fusion Fuel Cycles Inc., which we're proud to say is almost a year old in May.
Congratulations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think, really interesting to lay out kind of that roadmap of how the partnership built. And I'm aware that you have, your flagship project, which is the Unity 2 project, which you mentioned. Can you talk about what that is and what that's aiming to achieve?
Yes, definitely. Unity 2 stands for sort of a uniform, united testing platform of some sort. So when it comes down to fusion, there is obviously many public programs as well as private companies that are concentrated, rightly so, on demonstrating the fusion events. Perfect. So that is the core of the technology. The way that we saw it is that, but there is a need to build the rest of the plant. So that's kind of where these companies are coming together: Kyoto Fusioneering, CNL, and FFC. So the idea here is that seeing is believing, and also doing a demonstration that can prove that the whole ecosystem in terms of the fuel cycle works at the scale with Tritium in an integrated way is the next step. So the analogy we make is that, okay, so here's the model home. This is how the model home looks like. It has all these, rooms, kitchen, garages. And then as the ecosystem advances, certain components, certain designs can be improved, tailored for a given particular design. And so that's really the idea of how to add value. And Unity 2 becomes the test platform where everything kind of comes together and is proven, right? That is not any different than how the fission world was developed by, starting with a small demonstration, going up a scale, having different loops that could test characteristics. These loops help develop technology, support the overall advancement of the power plant eventually, support the creation of the regulations, train people, and all in all, create a situation where it adds value.
So when you think of Unity 2, it obviously is going to be a fantastic test bed for a lot of R&D and science to help inform the next evolution of these technologies. What's the thinking around business model? How are you going to be selling these things? Is it you need to build a very unique and one of a kind for each developer? How does it work?
Right. Yeah. Again, excellent question. Count two parts. One is that, keep the analogy of the model home. The idea is that some of the components, some of the systems, pumps, specific, technology of this loop can already be used for the small scale demonstrations that many of the developers are attempting to do. Also, in some cases, many of these companies are keen to partner with organizations that they are like-minded, and they can offload that development journey to essentially an alliance in a way. So perfect example is Avalanche Energy, which we're very happy to just have signed an MOU with their team, and which is sort of the same approach, that they are concentrate on their device. We're supporting with the Tritium components, and then in general it creates an acceleration to that ecosystem. And the other part is really comes down to using Unity 2 as a facility for commercialization of technology, where you can little by little begin with basis and then improve from there onwards, where companies could come work with us and define a particular scope of work, do contract research, and try to be as flexible with the intellectual property arrangements for their benefit. And in doing so, we can also see how this connects very keenly with public programs, like in the UK or in the Department of Energy, where there is an interest of nation to nation or lab to lab, where workforce development and overall the risking of the fusion ecosystem is very helpful, because somewhere needs to do this test. And this test need to be the material and the data that underpins regulatory decisions and underpins safety and underpins the training of scientists, technologists, engineers for the future. So it really is very, very fundamental.
Yeah, amazing. I think the user facility model is can be a really powerful one, in especially the stage that fusion's in. So that's really cool to hear. So I'm aware there's a Unity 1 that's in Japan. You're talking about Unity 2 in Canada. Is there a 3, 4, 5 kind of lines up? You don't have to give me the secret spicy sauce, but curious what the thinking is.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about Unity 1. So Unity 1 is 80% constructed. Some of the sections have already been tested, which is incredible, just to demonstrate that things can be delivered at the right pace. It doesn't have Tritium though, but it's bigger. So some of the technology and the learnings for Unity 1 will be moving to Unity 2. So, but Unity 1 has the mandate to demonstrate energy to power, as well as a scale, and a few other things related with the breeder. Unity 2 is a smaller but more complex version of the full cycle with Tritium, of course. If you put Unity 1 and Unity 2 together, you really have all the pieces of the balance of a fusion power plant. I think there is some discussions for Unity 3, Unity 4, Unity 5, Unity 6. I think the question is kind of where does it fit? And then where does it fit in the ecosystem, where it makes sense. I think probably the next logical evolution is to pair a neutron source with a breeder blanket, with a fuel cycle, and then do a material testing characterization. And that will be, a potential next iteration, or make it bigger. And I think we see Unity 1 and Unity 2 as the launch pads of further evolutions for the future.
Okay, amazing. So just to give some insight into scale, how much bigger does Unity 2 need to be actually prototypical of a fusion power plant?
Right. Yeah, Unity 2 is about 1/10 of a 200 megawatt fusion power plant, give or take.
Yeah, that's a good scale. I think that's quite kind of the intermediary before you can take the next step, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
perfect. So thinking about the tritium market itself. So it sounds like that it's created in CANDUs. Where else? Is it only created in Canada? I know there's a national security mission that also makes tritium. Can you talk maybe not about that, but more just about what are the other market drivers or kind of demand centers supply centers for tritium?
For tritium, yeah, I think it's a question that comes often because as soon as you start thinking about this, people immediately go like, well, what is the fuel? I think they make the analogy with uranium. It's good to have a reactor, but you don't have uranium, you don't really have power. So likewise, so first of all, the tritium in Canada is owned and produced by Ontario Power Generation, as we discussed, of the operators of the CANDUs, and it's a byproduct, and they remove it. So I think the conversations that have happened is the existing fleet of CANDUs are being revitalized, and they are expected to run until 2070. And they are also, Ontario Power Generation is adding new infrastructure and revitalization to the tritium remote facility in Darlington. So there should be enough tritium to support this system for a little bit. Now, the other part is that when you start thinking about starting a new a market sector like fusion, it's important to recognize that the tritium fuel is not like going to your car and adding fuel every time that you have to shut down.
Yeah.
You do have to have your original load, and then after that, the intention is that once you have fusion burning, the fuel is self-produced and is self-maintained. Probably a need for a top-up, but the tritium demands go a little bit lower. For the future, I think the idea is to find ways to produce tritium dedicated to support the fusion ecosystem. So there's maybe some examples that could be considered utilizing the existing, fission reactor fleet, as maybe thinking about dedicated targets, not any different than medical isotopes are produced right now, and maybe some other schemes. But I think everything starts by kind of concentrating and getting the first demonstration proving that this work, and then I'm pretty sure solutions will be found to advance this supply challenges.
Yeah, because you hear a lot from kind of the catastrophists when they're talking about fusion is that there won't be enough tritium, which means that any penetration or growth of the fusion market is very unlikely. So we're hearing at first that with breeding loops and with some other techniques and mechanisms, there's unlikely to be that.
It's solvable.
It's solvable.
It's solvable. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So what excites you the most about fusion at the moment?
Oh yeah. Well, maybe let me kind of tell you a bit of a story.
Yeah.
When we go around, in this area, and we talk to people, when we talk to scientific people, I think it's a little bit easier to explain fusion, and there is always a hesitation. Say like, it will happen, but my kids or the kids of my kids will see it. So there is a little bit of a skepticism, but it's not true. I think fusion is a lot closer than people think. There's a lot of challenges, but some of the events that happen in the U.S. Around the scientific breakthroughs of fusion demonstrate that you can do this on Earth. And there are so many different companies, to some extent firing shots at net that out of 45 or so, all you need is one to score. And I think the floodgates will really open, because when's the last time that you've seen, a new energy source, right? Including our own, Canadian proponent with General Fusion in Vancouver, that they are making a lot of progress with their LM26 machine. So that's one component. I think in the scientific community, people see this as the holy grail, and it's easy for them to relate. But in the non-scientific community, when we talk to just people from public relations, people that are associated with our company, and then just normal people in a way, what is really exciting to them is that fusion is exciting, it's cool, and it's really a way to change the world. They kind of relate to that. they see when you tell them, well, you can have the control the power of a star on Earth, and
Yeah.
it's self-sustaining holy grail of energy. It's really something that not everybody can say every day, and if they feel that they can contribute, even if it's a small part of it, they get really excited about it.
Mhm.
It's really that, maybe that vibe, that mission that drives us forward.
Amazing. Well, it's good to hear that there's a lot of progress happening, within companies and within companies like yourself with FFC that are really kind of bringing things forward and kind of trying to silence the naysayers that say it's always 30 years away. So very excited to see that runway be shortened and it come closer. And I think I completely agree with you that it's a very exciting field. There's a lot of impact to be made, and I think it represents the upper bound of technological complexity, and I think it'll be a really big elevation for humankind. So I'm glad that people like you are working on really important things, and I think fuel cycle is not a small thing at all. I think it's going to be a really big unlock. So very, very happy to have this chat and learn more about it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for having me here, Alex.
Thank you very much, Jan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.